the video. We will do it.
I'll make a comment about it.
We'll do it another time.
Okay.
Good.
Can we call this meeting to order? Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh, roll call. Mr. Yocum.
Present.
Mr. Crossley.
Present.
Mr. Wilson all here. Approval of the minutes from last month.
Make a motion be accepted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Approval of the claims and the payroll.
Make a motion be accepted.
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay. Treasury report. Nobody's here. COVID. Wendy?
So right now, the total cases for Vermain County is 133. That's total from March 23rd till today.
Today.
Yes. We've opened our testing site as of September 9th. We've tested 195 residents, and they've been from other counties as well. Right now, the last count we had was out of that 195, 5 came back positive. So that was a good. We are doing after hours, so there are 3. There's a Saturday clinic. We do from Tuesday to Saturday, so we take Monday and Sunday off. Saturdays from 10 to 3, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays are our late nights. We do from 4 to 7 after hours. So we're very pleased with the way it's going. And the only thing that we supply is the building and the staff. The state supplies everything else, all the equipment, the iPads. We have to use MiFi because our cell service isn't really good in our building, and so all of that is supplied by the state. Also, we are starting flu shot clinics. Our first one will be Saturday from 4 to 6. So we'll put a schedule out for the next 2 months on them.
Okay.
Is there any way, we know there's been 130 cases, but I noticed that how many are no longer cases? How many are resolved?
Honestly, Jim, I can't tell you because we have more than just myself handling cases. So
who could the state provide that to the county for, or who? I mean, if you got a record of a case, then you know you got a case. So
right.
Does anyone? You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get it. That's what everybody's asking me. You got 130 cases, but 120 of them are okay and gone.
Right.
That information everyone's asking for.
Sure, and we understand that, but you know, a case will be in quarantine or isolation for 10 days when they're positive. So they're in 10 days isolation. So I can't give that information. I don't have that information. How many are still active?
Is that something that we could ask for from the state, or?
You can call them and see if they'll release it. They'll probably want our health board's approval.
Well, I'm gonna ask them to do that. I think it's information. It's out there all the time. Everybody's asking, but how many cases are resolved? You know, and I think that information needs to be out there.
Right. You're welcome to call.
So I'd have to request it from the state, and then you guys would have to approve it.
I would say our board would have to want to release that information.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You guys are doing a great job. That's just information people are asking.
Mark, you can update?
Yeah, we had some questions at last commissioners meeting about the CARES Act. One of them was whether the additional funding for the ambulance could be paid with CARES funding. I forwarded the response to you guys. It can't. That's considered a loss of income, and that's not covered. Another question was whether the sheriff's deputies or anybody could get basically a hazardous duty type pay for the stipend, and they said that could be covered. So if Mike wants to follow through and forward that email to you also, you have to.
Specific what it has to do.
Yes.
And it didn't appear to cover the jailers, from what you said.
Right, and that's a further question we can ask to see if that can happen. On that note, on Monday, I believe they changed some parts of the CARES Act, and all law enforcement officers, the jailers, support staff for the jailers, health department personnel, their salaries starting on March 1st can be paid 100%. so the county can recoup those costs. They, also, those claims will jump in front of all other claims in the county. Those are the ones that are gonna process the fastest. So when you look at that, and I'm just guessing this one, Mike, I'm guessing the sheriff's deputies between March 1st and now, their salaries probably add up to, say, $250,000 to $300,000.
I don't know.
And then you got jailers on top of that, and so that's gonna really help to wipe out that $500,000. We also have an additional appropriation for the next council meeting, which is $36,000, right around $36,000 to buy 3 room sanitizers. They're ultraviolet light sanitizers. So we're really starting to put a dent in that money, okay? Another thing to look at, Amy forwards me invoices about every 2 to 3 weeks after they get paid for things that are COVID related. And I'm seeing a lot of people buying things that we have. I'm sitting on 20 infrared thermometers and we got people buying them. I think before any office buys something, we probably need to, if it's in the courthouse, I'd say get a hold of Amy. If it's anybody in an outside office, get a hold of me and find out if we have these things. When I see people buying 3-ounce bottles of hand sanitizer, and I've got over 200 gallons sitting up there taking up space, you know, it's really hard to justify that. Bring me this little bottle and I'll fill it, you know,
Okay.
okay?
Gonna send that notice out to office.
Amy has sent it out
Okay.
before.
Send that again, please.
But we just need to start working as a team instead of everybody going out and buying things. I've got a lot of 3-ply paper masks, and somewhere in Greene County, I think I've got 8,000 floating around if they ever find them. So we should be good on things like that. We shouldn't have to be going out buying that, and that'll allow us to get more money in on salaries and everything else.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Wendy. IT update, anybody here?
So you have the ordinance to close the courthouse,
Mm-hmm.
or to open the courthouse back up.
Okay, the IT update?
We
You
gotta
know, on
make,
the COVID,
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yes, we're still gonna use, the west door, and masks are still, and screening's still gonna be required.
and they need a motion to, so we're gonna open up the courthouse,
Mhm.
so I'll make it.
I second.
Motion made, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay.
Is there still the distance, there's nothing in here said about, is there anything in here said about distancing, social distancing?
no.
So the social distancing will be gone and the limited
It's up to you guys.
people coming in.
Yeah, this just lifts the ban that you put in place with ordinance 2020-5, but masks are still required and we'll still screen for,
They don't have to call and make an appointment now, right?
correct.
Okay.
There's no social distancing required in this.
At this time, unless you guys feel like.
It's not in this, that I can see.
We can add that if you want it. So, Mike Phelps?
Are we still gonna leave it west door entry only?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
it's in-
open- Okay, it is in there?
Yeah. Thought it was.
I-
We discussed it.
I still also only allow so many people in your office at a time. Would that be, like, everybody, would that be like, you know how many people you can have in there, you don't need 50 people in there.
Right, we have a small lobby, we're not gonna let
Yeah.
a bunch.
Okay.
If they're gonna be screened and shot for temperature, then
Let it go at that.
I don't see where there'd be any restriction on that.
Sounds good to me, okay. All in favor of that then?
Yep.
Aye.
Okay. Motion here is passed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
okay. Well, now the IT, they're not here.
Yeah, the IT and the phone, they'll give an update at the next meeting.
Okay, can I get a copy of the list, some of the new phone numbers? Only, number, I got yours, and I gotta have you transfer whatever else I'm going to.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay. Marie and Rice is not here.
I asked a question there, if they haven't been here for quite a while, if someone sends them a letter asking them to come.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Let's do that.
Ask them to attend the 13th meeting.
Yes. Jail renovation. Okay.
Jail renovation is on the, talk about now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things we need to explain to the people, I don't think people realize that each one of our commissioners, we have a different responsibility. Tim at Wilson's over the courthouse. I'm kind of over the jail facility, not running it. Mike Phelps does all that, and Harry's over the highway department. So I think that we as commissioners, I'd like to have a meeting with both Jack Krause and also the engineers to figure out the flow of what we're going to be doing. And I think also that the commissioners ought to approve one of us as a representative to that, for that jail project. So no decision would be made, but you need someone that's going to be the ongoing point person in this process.
Have we got a price back on that or anything? What that jail's gonna cost, estimate price yet?
The thing about it is, we've heard Jack Krause had said something. I think that that price, information and stuff, that determination ought to be done by both of the engineering company. There ought to be somewhere that both of them are communicating, coming up with that price.
We've not got a price back yet then?
Do what?
We haven't got a price back?
No, I don't think, someone correct me wrong, but really in the process of developing plans and stuff, there's a certain time there we will be at that place to have prices. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Meyer.
Right, Kevin.
Come on up.
I'm Kevin Meyer with RQAW. Basically what we're doing now, we're the engineering firm, architectural firm, and we're getting close to the end of schematic design. I talked to Sanjay before I came into the meeting. So that should be done within 2 to 3 weeks. But Jack Krause, I mean, he's the guy you've hired to run the numbers and count the beams. So he should be getting back with you soon after the schematic design is done.
Okay.
So really, we're relying on his numbers. I mean, just because you guys are paying him.
Yeah.
You know.
So is he consulting you with those numbers too, or you?
I would suppose, yes, but Sanjay has to answer that one.
Okay.
But yeah, we're relying on the numbers that he's crunching.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Britton?
I don't quite like the way this process is going. Typically, it looks like we're double dipping into this somewhat. I've looked through the Krause agreement, which is an agreement, but the engineering firm, I'd like for you to come up here and talk about this a little bit. But what we have Mr. Krause doing, or CCI doing, is in tandem with what the engineering group does. When I've done these type projects, we've done just about everything that Mr. Krause is doing. Now, if you want an owner's rep, the very top of that, he can report back, or the engineers can report back to him instead of reporting to you all. But we're not being very efficient with this. They're going to be preparing numbers that we're going to be giving those numbers to Mr. Krause. Mr. Krause is going to be giving those numbers to you. And it looks like we have an intermediary in this that we don't really need. Is this the way that you guys normally conduct businesses, through this owner's rep?
We haven't. We've done every method there is, except Jack. I think Jack's portion, you guys wanted him to help get you the ball rolling to get it to the price, and that's where we're at now. As soon as the schematic design's done, then they can start crunching those numbers. And even then, I mean, you get as close as you can humanly possibly get. A lot of the numbers he's going to crunch is probably some of our past history, but we're the ones that designed the majority of the jails in the state of Indiana within the last year. So,
Typically, this thing will go like a schematic. This is at the very beginning, everybody agrees upon. We'll go to a 30% design, the percents may differ.
And that's what we're going to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Probably 2 weeks is what Sanjay said, but I always like to give yourself a cushion.
So you'll be at the 30% design. Everybody will agree that you're on the right track there. Then you'll go to what's considered a 60% design. When you get to the 60% design, then your estimates will be coming in which you can actually go to the council, and plus or minus at that level 3, I think it is, out of 6 levels, you can go to the council and start talking to them about real numbers, about where you have to be. In the meantime, you need to be looking at a construction manager as well. You'll have your engineer on board, you have your construction manager being interviewed and decide on who you're going to be doing with that with. They'll be going on to 90% design once it's approved at 60%. When they get to 90%, they're going to be between 2 and 5% of their costs. Should be that close at that point. They'll meet with you again. The bonding agent will come in He'll finalize his numbers at that point. At 60%, he'll be really crunching his numbers and getting them in line. At the same time, there'll be a schedule already developed. When all that's completed, at the 90%, everybody will come to agreement on the schedule and on the construction costs and the construction.
And that's stuff that we've already talked about at a lot of our jail meetings, so you're all well aware of that. But once we get the schematic design, then we can crunch the numbers pretty doggone quickly and get you guys a pretty good spot to carry that to the council.
But the engineer will be doing the estimates. To have Mr. Kraus come in and have to interpret their drawings that they're already doing is just a reiteration of work. Now, if you want him to do something and you like what he's doing and you're comfortable with what he's doing, then these people can report, the construction manager, the engineer, the bonding agent, can all report to him, and then he can disseminate the information between you. But to have him going through and doing things that I believe the engineer should be doing and the construction manager should be doing is not an efficient nor a practical way of doing this project, I don't believe.
And once we get to schematic design, then we'll all sit at the table like we've been talking about at the jail committee meetings. So, you know, what he said, we're doing with you guys already. I mean, both of you two are well aware of that. So we just get to the end of schematic design, that's when it will help you guys. I mean, you know, it's your decision on how you want the method you guys want to use to go forward. But we'll be certainly glad to give you our advice. And you know, that's what we've done on countless jails. You know, so the process is going very, very well. We're getting very close. Like I said, I talked to Sanjay just half hour ago before the meeting. So, you know, schematic design, he's been working his butt off, and we have a team that's on this project. So the ball is rolling, and it's rolling forward. It's rolling forward rather quickly. So, you know, in 2 to 3 weeks, we'll get it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, those are my comments, and really, we need to get this thing a little bit in better shape, I think, and in a better organization as to who's doing what part, and otherwise, we're just spending money needlessly at this point, or at that point, going forward.
And I really think too, like I say, 2 to 3 weeks, when the schematic design gets done, we'll all get back together in another meeting. I think that'll carry it through. The ball will really be going faster at that time.
Well, I think the engineer needs to be taking the role, the
I
lead role on this.
And I agree.
Okay.
I don't think.
We'll take that information under advisement. Thank you
Right.
for your guys' comments.
Thank you.
The other thing is back to the original question, are we gonna just have everything meet as a group every time, or you want someone to represent, one of us commissioners to represent us? I mean, how do they do it in the past? And
We've
what-
done it every angle in the world, whatever the commissioners want to do. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out the flow of this and what would be the best way to do it. And I don't matter, I do it or no, we don't do it at all. I'm just trying to figure out what have you all done and what
once
you
we got
recommend.
the okay at the last jail meeting, committee meeting, Sanjay's been working on getting the schematic design complete. So like I said, I just talked to him just right before the meeting started. He said, 2 weeks. So I'm telling you guys 2 to 3 weeks just to give us a cushion. But, the ball's rolling where it needs to be. And once we get to that point, then we'll all sit down together. We can, bring construction managers in. You guys can make up if you want to do a owner's rep. And I think you guys have something in your mind the way you want to do it now. But, 'cause we talked about that in several meetings. So the ball is rolling forward. The next day, 2 to 3 weeks, you could really make some good decisions at that time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
John, where we got the handbook?
I think we're waiting on some language. We're working on some language for the sheriff's office with Anita.
Okay. Okay. Randy, credit card agreement?
Hey, wait a minute, you skipped one.
That's in the executive session.
Yeah, we got a,
Huh?
You need to call an executive
Yeah,
session.
I'm
Yeah, I
gonna-
need to call an executive session, you've got job description,
yeah, but October 13th, we're gonna have executive session
Is it after the meeting?
I have
after the
one.
After the
meeting
meeting, okay.
How many do they need?
with
to
Melissa
sign?
Cardy.
Okay.
What time, I have
So
to
you
put a
wanna
time
sign
on it.
two?
Say
9:30?
Yeah.
9:30.
That's all you needed, yeah.
I'm sorry, Randy, go ahead now.
The original credit card agreement we did in 2018, we renewed it for 1 year because I understood that's what we were, all we were going to be allowed. So I'm asking for a 2-year extension on the original agreement with the credit card machine. Exact same thing that we have had in the past.
That's, a lot of people pay their taxes for that, I assume.
Right, they can walk in or pay them online, or
pay them over the phone.
Works out pretty good when he does it.
They have the cheapest rate and
Mhm.
the easiest to use on our end.
I'll make a motion to extend it 2 more years.
Mr. Clausen made a motion, Mr. Yocum second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, courthouse security desk. Can you get some questions on that? The courthouse security.
Give them a copy of that?
Yes, it was in their packet.
I,
In your packet, it's a copy of the desk drawing.
Right.
Design one for us, it's 8 foot by 9 foot to go, and it's raised, there's security features built into it. It should look similar to this, except it's going to be a U shape. Cost is $5,500. And it will also be movable, there'll be casters on it.
I just had a question. It just says a desk and don't say anything about anything else about, I mean, is it gonna be laminated top? I mean, it's not, there's no detail there, if I'm not mistaken. It just says a desk. It's got a picture of it.
I asked him to design it like the one in front of you, except it's going to be in a somewhat of a U shape, squared off.
I have no problem. I'm just
It's
saying.
got a counter built in where we can actually put a computer in there, put the monitors on so we can watch the security cameras. There'll also be some safety features built in to be an actual place of safety if something did.
I have no problem with it. I just think if you put some detail, you know, is it gonna be oak? Is it gonna be, there's no.
I brought him out here to show him this, and he was familiar with who built this too. He's a wood craftsman, he's an artist here. But I asked him to build it as close to this as he could, but in the shape that we want.
So it's gonna be oak top, all it's gonna be made out of oak and.
The,
I'm just saying, there ain't
the
no.
wood trim, well, the countertop will be another style of.
Okay,
counter.
because there's nothing on here that says anything about that, so.
I
I have no problem with it. I'm just saying there's no detail.
You're overseeing that, right, Sheriff?
Yep.
Okay, as long as.
How long have you overseen it?
We don't have it funded yet either, so I gotta go to the council with it.
Can they also give a little more detail on it? I have no problem with
The
it.
cabinets in my office, you've seen those? He designed and built those.
Okay. I have no problem with this at all.
Cabinets upstairs, too, so.
I'm not questioning that, I'm just saying that there's no detail, and if you put a little more detail in, it'd be better. Say, just like these, I mean, it's just not there.
It's just not his tact. I mean, he's done a lot of work in his courthouse. We trust him. We guide him, we tell him what we want it to look like, and when he's done, it is.
If you're gonna oversee it.
If you're gonna oversee it, it's fine, but I'm saying, you know, there's not very much content here, that's fine.
But, well, he designed it exactly what I was downstairs with him. Well, actually, there were several officers at the time we were designing that. But then it will have a step-up floor, but it's gonna be at a counter height that's above normal intentionally.
I'm 100% for it, I just question some detail, that's all.
I think there's a lot of people here in the courthouse put a lot of trust in Fortner. He's
Dan
probably
Fortner?
one of the best. right?
Dan?
Yeah.
That's not the question.
Dan Fortner?
Jeremy.
Jeremy? You're
That's
gonna
not
get-
the question.
You're gonna get good work.
But,
Sounds good.
I mean, he just, yeah, I get what you're saying, I do, I understand, but that's Jeremy, I'm sure he would go back and do it again if he wanted all this other in there, but Jeremy's not computer oriented, he can work with wood in his hands, he's very good at it.
If you feel comfortable with him, I guess the rest of us do too.
I have all.
I don't think we're gonna go wrong with him.
Again, I'm not questioning anybody's integrity, I'm just saying when we get something that don't have the detail in it, that's.
I get it,
to ask.
I wish he had modernized a little bit. His talent for
Thank you, Sheriff. Courthouse grounds.
Do you need a motion to proceed?
Make a motion.
Yeah, they should at least do a verbal vote.
Go ahead and accept that, Harry.
For the courthouse security desk, I'll make a motion, we go ahead and allow it.
Okay.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Now we'll go to courthouse grounds, up to him, so, is that,
It's been tabled, I don't know if you have any other discussion, I know there was, discussion about the trees and
okay,
cutting back the brush, but I don't know where you're at on that.
all right. We need to have a, grounds meeting again, security meeting, so find out what they wanna do on the trees, which one they wanna trim back. I talked to Terry, some of that stuff he thought he might be able to trim back, should take it out, you know.
We were gonna have a safety meeting on the 13th after your executive session,
Okay.
so we can discuss it.
Okay, that'll be
then.
fine. Okay, the drainage ordinance, you all seen that, we talked about that last time. People
putting a pipe into their driveway. And, Penny, you gonna talk on that?
Right, right. I just, with the paper only printing twice a week, it's really thrown a wrench in our advertising. But, I wanted to verify, just so that we're all on the same page, that with them, with the homeowners or whoever's building a new driveway, their requirement to, put a minimum of a 12-inch culvert in 20 feet in length to help keep the county ditches open. That culvert can be purchased through the Vermillion County Highway Departments, any of the three. And then the highway workers are gonna put them in?
Yes.
Okay.
And they
So-
buy it at our cost.
Right, that's, yes. Yeah, so,
They buy it at the middle garage, right? Had to order there, Melissa, or?
Yeah,
First Street.
yeah, we got them all down in our pit. You go through Melissa and she tells you the price, you write the check to the
so
CPI.
this is all,
I think.
we'll have the advertising and the paper on, and then, have it, an ordinance ready for you, because we have to have a public
The-
hearing on it.
It says a minimum.
Yes, a
12
minimum
inch,
of 12
and I think
inches.
that-
So if they want to, if it's a deeper ditch and they need to go larger, they can.
Well, I'm trying to think of someone who really needs to look at that, if it's, could be larger. So it is, when they come get a permit and they put a 12-inch in there, okay, don't matter.
It depends upon the ditch.
The road foreman probably go out and look at it and then shoot it and see what the elevation of it is, how deep, what they recommend it to have. But doesn't, we're requiring nothing less than 12. That's the
There are
minimum.
times it might require larger.
Larger,
And I'm
yeah.
saying, they're only required to pay
Your
for 12.
highwayman would go out and look at it and make that determination.
I'm just saying, that was just a case of a drainage issue of a larger amount of water. Trying to
Exactly.
put a 12-inch
We
line.
believe it's gonna be a minimum of 12, you know, we don't take except nothing
But my
less.
question is, who's gonna determine that if it needs to be bigger?
Our highway guys, the foreman, would go out and look at it.
Okay, so the highway foreman's gonna go out and inspect it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay, you got drainage standards now?
And that we're on Public Law
The-
53.
Yeah.
The drainage standards are the things that Eric Smith provided us, and you guys need to look at them and decide if you want the county to adopt them. You don't have to adopt them exactly as they're written. We could modify them, but you need to take a look and see if that's
Okay.
something that you want to do for Vermillion County.
Okay. We can look at that and decide next meeting?
Yeah, just let me know, and then we'll start typing them up and seeing if you guys want to do it exactly that way, or...
Any more questions on that, Tim, Harry?
Okay.
Okay, Public Law 53, you want to explain that?
Yeah, so our ag agent for Purdue Extension does not live in the county. So because of that, there was a Public Law 53 passed this spring that we have to have since he doesn't live in the county, he cannot be a voting member any longer unless the commissioners agree that he can stay until October of 2021. He would still stay on it as an advisory position, but we would have to get someone from the ag community to replace him as a voting member. So he would just be at our meetings as an advisory only. Now, Area Plan would like to see him stay on for another year, and that's what their preference is. From our conversations earlier, I'm not sure what you guys' preference is, since he does not live in the county. We do meet on October the 8th. So upon reading this further, you can't sign the ordinance until, if we want to keep him, until after October 1st. We do have some major things coming down the agenda for Area Plan as far as solar and some zoning changes and things. So I guess if Area Plan wants to keep him, what's your wishes for them?
Right now, is he considered a voting member?
Yes.
And after the first year, if we keep him, he will not be a voting member, correct?
No, we to 2021.
Till October of 2021.
Okay.
If
I
we
got no
keep,
problem with staying in the advisory committee, but I think not living in this county, so I'll make a decision, he's living in this county. And that's not nothing against the gentleman, I just think he can be advisory, but because of voting, I think he can be a resident of the county. That's my preference.
and you guys have the final say of what they are, it's because he's your member, the member that you guys you're gonna have to replace, which is not, when we can get them
I think we need
replaced.
to start advertising, we wanna go with so-and-so voting member, shouldn't
That's up to you guys.
Yeah.
If you wanna, if you don't choose to keep him on, then you'll need to find a replacement.
they? Out of the Ag Committee, correct?
Yes.
Henry?
I have no problem with him.
You can keep him on as an advisory.
He
not-
has,
but-
that's part of his job description or
But he can't be-
the way
can't-
state code's set
can't
up.
vote.
But he can't vote.
Correct, if we don't pass an ordinance saying that he can, yes.
I'll go along with Tim. I don't want, if he has to live in the county, he can't vote.
So,
They need to make a motion on that, Amy?
your
or-
motion is?
I'll make a motion that if you don't live in the county, you can't vote, but he can stay on the advisory.
I agree with that.
Tim, okay, hold on. All, Tim, second that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay. So you need to advertise, do we need to advertise, you're gonna advertise it?
You'll need to, Amy will need to.
Okay.
And I'll let the board know, on the 8th that
Okay.
that was the wish of the
When do we
commissioners.
meet, when do we meet again?
The 13th.
The 13th, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Is that all? What you got?
I think there's one more on there about the solar, I don't know if I'm next,
The
though.
attorney energy ordinance?
Yes, I have a copy of the draft, if you guys would like to see it, of what
Yes.
we're working on. We are working with Apex, Scott Craig, Hoosiers for Renewables, several local landowners have have gotten a copy of this. We will be reviewing this at our next meeting, like I said, on October 8th. Starting at 6, we'll just go over it. Then at 7, our regular meeting, if there's any changes, we'll be voting on them at that time. So I was just wanting to keep you guys in the loop on.
One of the questions I had on it was, to have a meeting north and south to educate people what's going on. Is that gonna be done or not?
That comes from the companies themselves that are gonna be doing this.
I think it needs to come from zoning.
Well, you're asking me to go out and do a presentation on something that I'm not well versed in as far as solar goes. I've read enough but the companies that are gonna be doing the work are the ones that are gonna be holding the town hall meetings.
They said there's gonna be scheduling two, or one north, one south, as they said. Is what they were-
When I talked to them, they said they'd like to do one at the north end, one at the south end. But they're not ready to at this point. I've tried to get them to come to area plan to give a presentation, and they're not ready to at this point. So, as soon as they're ready, we're ready to set up town hall meetings so everyone understands what's going on.
Are you going for the next one, the Johnson Solutions? Anybody here for that?
No, he's not, he hasn't came back yet. He'll
Okay.
stay on until he gets his, study done, and then
Okay.
he'll come back with his findings.
Toshiba Business Solutions, are they here? Anybody talking on that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, bridge over Spring Creek, 1550 north. We had one bid, and we have another bid. And then we have a amendment to the first bid. I'll let Harry read that one, get this off here.
The CNH Bridge and grading. This is a steel bridge, length 72 foot, width 24 foot. Total cost $155,416, $155,416. That's the total cost of the bridge. That's not the installation of it.
And then that was coming out, of just doing it, not coming out of the 80/20, that's just us doing it.
That's just
Okay.
coming out of the Coon Bridge.
At that time, we didn't think we had the money because we're doing
Bridge 122 next year.
122. Now, the original bid from another company was $169,400. But they give it a supplement here that, if we can sign the agreement, if I can go to the council to approve you guys, that they'll give us additional money to that. If we sign it by November 1st, we can save $15,000 off that bridge, and that makes it
Yeah, but is that for installation too, or is that just?
that's not installation, that's just price.
Neither one's insulation.
Neither one's installation.
And
I
then
think
then this one here is a concrete bridge.
E3 bridge quote, and Mr. Wilson's here to talk about Walt Wilson.
Any questions?
Yeah, you got questions about it before forward, sir?
So we got one's a steel bridge and one's a concrete
That's
bridge.
just
Yeah, this is a
concrete.
concrete bridge.
And that bridge has to be done in half. They can't tear the whole bridge out because the people gotta get in and out back there.
Since the bridge is only way in out, we designed it so we could have a runway to go in and out while we're building the bridge. It comes in 3 sections, manufactured sections, and they're poured concrete as soon as they're put in. But the original price they gave me, they called me up and they said that since they're a little lax in their manufacturing right now, they manufacture these in the factory, each one of these sections. And they said that if we could do it now before by November 1st, they would give a $15,000 discount, bringing it down to $154,000.
Once you start this, how long does it take to install it?
I would say 30 days or less. These go in pretty fast. I had Resolution engineers checked it out. They checked the old abutments and the old pilings, the way they were put in and everything, and they said that they would be very capable of handling this bridge by putting it on the new deck on it.
And
There are a few exposed pilings right now that the builder, when they put it in, and the builder should put some riprap and fix those around, because they're not exposed.
Now that metal bridge they put in, the metal bridge they put in, is that one of them corrugated bottoms where they have the blacktop over top of it?
It's corrugated, no, there'll be concrete on top of it.
No, I mean the metal bridge that the other company bid on.
Oh.
Is it a corrugated bottom, then they have to put blacktop on top of it?
Yes, not blacktop, but it's like concrete.
You know, listen here, that's gonna be an open metal bridge.
Well, you're talking about E&H?
That's bottom,
open. I don't know how they're gonna put it in. I'm not involved with that one.
Yeah, I know that. I just thought, thought you could explain the difference between the two bridges.
But these bridges are the highest rate standard. They're HL 93 bridges. What the state's requiring now on the new bridges is HL 93. But they go. We've got quite a few of them. I've got 6 of them in Benton County, and I've got 3 in Warren County right now. And we put them in spans clear up to 100 and span up 150 feet. We've got some down in Posey County, 150 feet long.
Both of them.
But both quotes you said are for material only, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about installation somewhere.
Well, he has to get bids on the installation.
What he's talking about now, if we accept his bid and the council give him the funding for it, we can buy the bridge and not.
You can buy your bridge off your annual bid. It's on these bridges are on our annual bid. You can buy them off the annual bid.
And then you
I talked to the contractor. It won't be a big job putting that in. We'll have our contractor would like to bid on it too, because he's put a lot of these in.
I think it'd be nice if we had some engineer look at it that could give us feedback. I mean, on a $150,000 project, I mean, I'm not a bridge expert. I don't think none of us here are.
Well, we've had quite a few of the metal bridges put in, and they're open grate. Well, you can't put them in town because the kids barefoot and walking across them and stuff. Then you put them out in the country. But I'd say the concrete bridge would be better and stronger.
So what type of installation cost usually goes with these then?
I want to get an estimate.
Do you roughly know how much the installation would be on one of the bridges?
It would be, I would say, under $100,000 for installation. I don't know. He's put a lot of these in, and he hasn't given me a price because he figured he'd have to bid against someone else, and he didn't want to stick a price out.
So we're talking about $250,000 in for this.
Now, you understand, Walt was former commissioner of Fountain County, and he was road commissioner for 20-some years, up there, right?
Yeah, I probably put in 40 bridges in our county when I was there for 21 years, and then after that I was county commissioner, and we still put in some more bridges, so we put in a lot of these. All these kind of bridges where we buy them off the county bid that way, and
what's the load rating on these bridges?
HL 93.
And what is, I don't know. I'm
It's
asking.
the same as interstate bridges.
You're talking about steel, we're talking about, is it painted or is it?
The steel girders are made to handle the extra load.
I mean, what's the,
They won't build anything less than HL 93. Now, your older bridges, like the steel bridges we used to put in with the grade zone, those were rated H25s. The new ratings that the state in Illinois have gone completely to is HL 93s. In Illinois, you can't put anything less than an HL 93 in there.
says all steel bridges, this in here, E-Nature's or the?
No, his is that one there.
Ours is all steel with the concrete.
Deck.
Is it painted steel or is it just exposed steel or, I mean, I'm not trying to take up too much time, but.
It's the best steel that you can get. It's a high rated steel. You can get them in weathered steel or in galvanized coated steel, either way. But they're strong enough for the rating of HL 93.
Was these all turned down, same time, the deadline, everything? Or did
Well,
this-
The E&H Bridge didn't give no deadline, that's their price. We got a contract with them too.
You got two prices and they're competitive.
This here's about $1,000, this here's about $1,000 cheaper than the all steel bridge.
But I'll have to ask, write even additional for council? And that,
You have to get with Melissa and see what your budget looks like and go to council to
Okay.
request the funding.
You got to November 1st to make
Yeah.
your mind up.
Pardon?
we get to November 1st to make a decision.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
November 1st, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you all.
Great.
I'll do these with
They're
Gary.
advertised for, installation too.
Yeah. Would I advertise the installation now on this, on the bridge?
You should,
Over which bid, or do we?
both of them.
Okay.
No, you wouldn't have, I just advertised for the one we're gonna accept. If
If the council approves the
Yeah.
funding, we'll accept this and then we can
Yeah.
advertise the,
concrete bridge.
okay,
You'll have Melissa do that.
yeah. You get the stuff to her then?
Yeah, you'll need copies though.
I'll make
Just
copies.
stuff, she'll make copies.
Okay.
You're not voting on one tonight.
No.
No. Okay. Clifford?
If you would like, I could have our contractor give a ballpark figure for about what he thought it might take to put in. He's looked at it and he's done a measure at it already, so.
That'd be all right, Jim, wouldn't
I'm trying to figure out why you're taking an estimates for when you should be taking things for bid. I mean, you just need to put this, if you want to do the.
We gotta take a bid on the concrete
Yeah,
bridge.
but I'm saying, we don't need no estimates from someone, we just need to put it out for bid and
Yeah.
let them bring that,
Yeah.
okay? It wouldn't be fair for you to tell us something and everybody knows what it is, you know what I mean? So I
Understand,
think it'd be
okay.
a sealed bid for.
it? So next meeting, we can decide what we'll do and go to the council,
If you got the bid
if you get the bid, yeah.
on the
So what-
installation.
So I need you to take the bid,
You have to take it to Melissa
okay,
and let her advertise it
okay,
for next meeting or the next meeting, then we'll,
okay. You get the paperwork to her,
Yes.
then I'll talk to her. You'll talk to her and I'll go down. All right, thank you. Okay, ready for new business?
yep.
Amy, polling places, locations?
Yes. The election board and I would just like to recommend to remain the same, the polling locations for the 2020 general as they were in the primary. They haven't changed in years. Just need your approval and then I'll publish.
I make a motion to accept these polling places.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, E911 address update. Can you give us an update where we're at on, are you getting flooded with E9 addresses? You want addresses?
Yes and no. Given a list of several addresses that needed to be verified. Been working on that list all summer. As of 6 o'clock this evening, I got all but 7 caught up.
Okay.
And it's probably more of a communication problem between me and Penny, more on my side than anything else. So I'll work on that communication.
Just give us updates and anything.
Yep.
Any questions for us here? Thank you. Your time.
Some of the addresses have been out there for quite a while and needed to be assigned. So we have to have a faster turnaround, because some of these houses have been built since 16 and have families living in them that don't have them on the map. And that's a concern of mine,
Yeah.
because I'm the one, the face they see when they come to get their 911 address, it's me.
Okay.
And I'm like, break ground, it'll get verified, and you know.
I want to say something real quick since you're talking, Penny, that I think Penny told me that our building permits are already at the level they were for the whole last year. Is that true?
Yes, we're probably 10 above that now.
Okay, so we're up considerable for our county. That's good news. Good news.
Okay. You and him communicate, try to do the best you can. Thank you, both of you. Okay, on the Illiana EMS additional funding on the loss runs, we have to ask the council for their, you know, in the contract says if the runs drop down, we've never been faced this before, we'd make the difference up. How do we want to handle that?
John, you looked at that. What do you think about?
I had not looked at that issue.
You know, it's been there since, I think, day one on the contract, always was rolled over to different, and every contract, but we never had this epidemic, you know.
It was referred to the 5% decrease that was in the contract.
Yeah, I know what I was talking about, I just hadn't looked at it in a while. You just want to know what it said?
I read what it said, but are we gonna comply with that? I mean, will the council, can you ask the council for the money, or?
Let me find the part of it that says.
So right now you're at 147,000. What do you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually a little bit more than that, but that's what I was reported to you all as I was required to per the contract.
And that's from the beginning of January 1st, or?
January 1st till when I submitted that because of the decreased run volume is what we budgeted.
It just says they can reopen negotiations if those conditions occur. So if he's invoking his right to reopen negotiations, we can negotiate with him. But if the amount of money you want to pay is greater than we've got allotted, then you have to go to council to ask for more.
For the previous year, $648,707.87. Now with medical billing, we don't actually.
I think we could do that. Let me double check that statute. But I think we could do that.
If they have Medicare, they have Medicaid,
take a look there.
That's what they pay.
We just
and
had
everything
that
else.
open.
And based upon the historical data, it would have been that $147,000 amount. And then I also have something else once this is over, that the council requested.
You're saying that's based on the previous year?
Yes.
How many years do you actually have on, how many years you been on with us now?
2.5, well, almost 3. 3 of them.
So do you see, once this COVID thing is over, that
We we assume that it'll go back up to the normal volume. But the problem is there's no trending in historical data because the previous service did not report to the state, and the state could not give me an adequate run volume of numbers for anything else, so we kind of went into this blindly because there was no information being able to be obtained. Because per Indiana code, the EMOSs are supposed to are required to report run data to the state. And that just didn't happen.
Doesn't look like it. I think you would have to do it in regular,
Okay.
through regular meetings. It doesn't, I'm not seeing an option to do it as an executive session.
Okay. So we need to sit down and negotiate then in a meeting?
Yeah, Jeff is, or he's allowed, if he meets those conditions, if you feel that he met those conditions, he can reopen and negotiate with you guys to change the terms of the contract. And I assume that's what you're invoking. You're saying I've
Yes.
met that 5%.
Yeah, we're well over the 5%, that's
So-
why we're bringing this and asking for some movement.
So now you guys need to decide how you want to address that. And then if what you want to do exceeds the amount of money the council has allotted to you, then you will have to go to the council to talk about extra money.
Okay, we can, have the information for us for the next meeting, how much money we got, Amy, allotted? And then, we got a lot on the next meeting on the agenda, we got executive session and we got another meeting, right?
That's after the meeting.
After meeting, so.
Well, you really don't know what the whole year's gonna be. You're doing a partial year, right?
Right.
I mean, all you have budget is his original contract.
Yeah, all you have
to go to
budget
the
is
council
originally
and ask for additional funding.
$411,008.
So we'd have to ask the,
If you don't already have the money
Uh-huh.
and you need to go outside, then yeah, if you don't have the money to do that, then you'd have to ask the council if you want additional money.
okay. But that could pick up for the end of the year, right? Should we wait till December to do this, or November, or?
I don't foresee it. We haven't hit the numbers like we have since February. So I don't believe that we're gonna make up the 366 runs
Oh, okay.
by the end of the year.
So how much are we, I don't have the figure from, how much are you asking, what was the difference?
He's asking for 147,000.
147.
So if you don't have 147 in a fund that you're allowed to use for ambulance service, then you would have to go talk to the council.
Okay, we need to ask the council about that, but also, I think the council's only, we're talking with the ambulance on the third ambulance, they wanted to try that for 1 year, is that correct?
Right, and I have the Appendix C for the ambulance service agreement that was talking about pursuant to paragraph 14 where you all decided to extend the contract per the last council meeting. The council requested us to sign a new contract with a new dollar amount that was agreed upon. Isn't that correct, Mr. Drew?
I don't recall.
Amy, is that correct? That they asked for a new signed copy from the commissioners and me?
They approved the funding.
Right, but they needed a new contract, so I have the new contract stating what they requested. And it is spelled out in the contract that initially it's gonna be, the third ambulance will be stationed in Clinton, and then it will be located somewhere in the area of 63 and 36 to give the middle truck. Because that's what we've all discussed, is that it should be in the middle of the county to help the northern part.
Have you seen that contract?
I've got it here. I'm like Randy, I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know what the numbers were, but assuming the numbers are the correct numbers, that's the Appendix C that was from our contract. I mean, maybe you should look that up and make sure.
$736,485.
So.
It's what you got there?
Yeah, if that's the numbers that they agreed on.
You just said it.
And then it still says in number 4, both parties agree to understand that these changes are subject to the Board of Commissioners being able to obtain funding by the Vermillion County Council. As it also always said that they wanted a new signed copy with the updated numbers.
And that's include the third ambulance for 1
The
year?
third ambulance for 1 year for 24 hours a day. That's the paramedic level.
To see what?
Correct.
That's what they agreed to at budget hearings. They'll officially adopt the budget on October 13th.
So we can't do anything until after October 13th, correct?
Well, no, you could do this, that's what he was pointing out, is it's subject to the council giving you the money. So if you sign this and they don't give you the money, that's part of the risk.
How, I'm not debating your figures, but how do we, as far as, you give us figures, but, and I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm saying how do you justify those figures to us? I mean, I'm asking for a little more detail. I'm not saying to question your integrity, I'm just saying, you say you did so
If
much.
you'd be glad to come to the business office, I'll be glad to sit down there and show you everything.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
I'm just asking.
The problem is, and if you all saw the email that I sent you all about what the rural health is
I
doing
see.
and paramedics that was put out by the state EMS director,
I see.
it's not a very, I would take up 2 or 3 hours of your time and everyone else's time here to explain it all to you about how the billing system works for ambulance billing and medical billing. And I can show you the historical data from the year before. And the year before that, on the 911 runs, how many runs were made, what the percentage of the payers were, and that's what we broke it down to for the volume of what we have been depleted this year.
I'd like to come and sit down with you and go over the billing. I had some people question me, their ambulance bill. I have no idea, you know, I don't.
That's what we're supposed to ask questions.
And that's, I'm here to answer them, I'm just.
Yeah. You're right on Main Street, right there by the hardware store?
Yep. But I do have that contract that we own with you to sign to fulfill the council's agreement.
We can sign that contract and then if the council approves the fund, if not, then we don't have it.
If they don't approve it, that's,
Yeah.
Well, want to sign it for so we can get it approved with the council, or
Approve it.
you want to go to him first and see what he's?
I'm just gonna tell you right now, trying to find paramedics, it's gonna be very difficult to find 3 paramedics to fill this other position.
We're not questioning anything you
I know, but I'm just saying, with this contract, at least if you all sign it, they've already appropriated the money. It's going to help be able to draw people in to come in here to be able to man this 3rd truck on January 1st. Because we did lay people off, because we've already been down this road all year of moving the goalpost. Do this, we'll do that.
You go ahead and sign it. If the council doesn't fund it, then different thing, we would sign it and send it to the council.
I'm not debating anything here at all. I'm just trying to get my head around it to justify my mind, you know.
Well, this is what the council asked us to do and sign at budget hearings.
Okay.
Correct, Ashley?
We had asked if there was a current contract, and we had.
The one with the old numbers.
We had the previous one from the spring. So, how many years is this contract?
3.
3?
But just 1 year on the 3rd ambulance.
Correct.
As you guys were at.
Only funded for 1 year.
Yes,
so.
correct. See how it went. So we can go ahead and sign that, and then that funding's not there for the other one, that's where we're at, but.
There's been mention in council to look at bidding it out after 1 year, depending on if we want to put the units or not. So how does that play into a 3-year contract?
We just have to write that in there, correct, John?
well, I mean, if they only fund 2021 and they don't fund 2022 and 2023, you're still under your option to open up negotiations again anyway, so.
Right.
To me, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
But it's also the commissioner's job to decide if they're gonna bid for contracts, correct?
Sure.
Okay, we don't determine budgets though until September or October, so if next year's council decides not to fund this, I mean, that puts you in a bad position to be able to bid out a new ambulance contract. I mean, we could possibly be changing up 4 positions on the council, so to guarantee 3 years at this point, I'm not sure what the next year's council will do. So it could put you in a time pinch next year if you wait until the council determines to fund it in September, October. It's just something to think about.
You mean with the third ambulance again?
Yeah, I mean, like if next year's council decides not to fund the ambulance contract at the higher amount to cover that, if they don't fund it, then that puts you in a bad position next fall to try and get a contract bid out within 3 months.
Definitely. We've been here December 31st before trying to get that.
Yeah.
But they also don't have to bid it out because it's in our agreement that we can renegotiate between us and the county, the commissioners.
But we don't have the funding, we can't give to you.
Right, but.
It was mentioned at council, at the budget hearing to do with one new contract. One, prices have increased due to COVID. Hopefully, COVID doesn't last for another 3 years, so.
Well, the question is, from a legal standpoint, if those pay us, if we are, let's do it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite, you said if what?
Oh, your mask way, Tim?
According to this,
Yeah.
the claim that he's bringing to us is legitimate, and we're liable to pay it.
My understanding is he said he's invoking the clause that says if there's a 5% change in his revenue, that he's allowed to reopen negotiations. So he's wanting to reopen negotiations. The second thing that's going on is you're saying the council approved an increase for 2021, that they're giving you the 2021 contract year at this $736,485 price.
That is what they approved and budgeted for at the budget hearing.
So you're, right now, you've got that from the council.
Yes.
And then Ashley's concern is, if we do if we just sign this and say, okay, we're good, then when next September rolls around, if they say, we're not going to fund the 786,987 for 2022, then we're automatically in renegotiations again next September. So there's 2 different things going on. One is whether or not you'll sign this Appendix C tonight, which funds the ambulance service through 2021. The other thing going on.
You really don't fund it through 2021, it's just make up for this part of the year, right?
No, we're on to this, Tim.
We're on to the third
We're on
ambulance.
to where the council requested a new signed agreement.
Okay.
With the new numbers that were emailed to
Okay.
you all for, because the question was posed, do we keep it status quo with 2 paramedic ambulances and a BLS ambulance? Or do we have 3 paramedic ambulances and the BLS ambulance? There were 2 number figures based upon what the level of service was. The council approved on a 4-3 vote to fund the additional paramedic ambulance for 1 year.
Right.
But they also requested that they need a new signed contract that reflects that dollar amount.
That's up to you guys.
We could look at that, Mary's not gonna be here. I might be, you don't know, but could we set that you guys look at that in June? Ask where these rates are, how your business is going, how the third ambulance is going, if it's really beneficial by June, and we know coming to budget time whether we're gonna need it or not. That make sense at all, Ashley?
To clarify, Eric, for a year, is that for a calendar year or the rest of 2020 or for 2021?
That was my question.
This is for the calendar year, January 1 to December 31st. It's like the.
Of next year?
Yes.
Okay. So
The money that this is requesting is for 2020. This is for 2021, 2022, 2023.
And they've said they'll pay you for 2021.
Yes.
So that's your time frame that you're looking at is.
We can sign it,
And then you still gotta decide on the 147 for this
Right.
year,
That's
and then
what-
you still gotta decide when do you wanna revisit this issue? Because if you, as Ashley says, if you wait until budget time next year and you get a no, you may wanna say that Eric's gonna come back to you earlier than budget time next year to talk about how things are going.
Look at it again in June.
And does that sound like a good time frame, June?
Yeah.
So we'll start on this in June of next year?
But we have to have this signed.
Yes.
For,
Yes.
But back to my question, I'm going back to the $147,000, because I must have missed something here. It says reimbursement for so far this year. I understand that. So there is a possibility you could come back in December for another pool, because you're asking for the year's not, total year's, that's just up to this date, correct? Am I right?
that is up to that date, yes.
So there is a possibility that if you don't, if it continues to do that, then there's a possibility you're gonna give us another bill on a year.
Could happen.
The
but it will not
5%
happen.
clause, you could
Well, I mean,
negotiate if you feel
it's
sorry.
okay if you wanna say it, if you wanna
Something
write
like
it down
that.
here and stuff and give it to us that way, it's fine. But I mean, I don't see that. You know what I'm saying?
Understand that. You want me to put it in writing?
I'm just.
Would that ease your mind, Tim?
I'm asking you a question.
No, but I'm asking you, what will ease your mind?
Well, it just says that, I'm back to this, it says that you're asking for reimbursement so far this year, so there's a possibility, and I'm not saying it's wrong that you go ahead and ask us again, I'm just saying, this is just up to this date.
Because I was required per the contract to notify you in writing of that we need to renegotiate. That is what I did at the beginning of the month, at the first meeting, per what the contract said I needed to do, and that's why you got it then. And then we didn't do anything at the middle meeting because that was an in and out meeting, and I was told to come back to this meeting tonight.
Okay.
So we can discuss that.
And that's no problem.
This transposed after you were already given that.
But the only thing I'm saying is, there could be more this year, that's what you're saying, according to what this says.
According to what that says, yes, there could be potentially.
We can negotiate that fee, maybe even to come down a little bit. But on the newer contract, we can take that clause out of there for next year. That clause not be in there.
Does it say that when they ask for this at the end of the year or anytime during the contract?
It says anytime when there's a 5% drop, and it also talks about fuel, supplies, and other things that are in the
I
contract.
see it.
And we, as Iliana EMS, did not request that clause in the contract. That was already been pre-established in previous contracts also, that the county commissioners had with other agencies that provided services here.
I think that goes back to 1974, I'm not for sure, I need to check, it goes back to 1974.
I have no problem with it, I mean, it's there, I don't, but there is, it's
We'll
gonna,
sit down with him and negotiate what he's asking for. Let's get this correct, we're on the same board. But then on the newer contract, they want a 1 year for the third ambulance. We can change that contract to 1 year, and add 1 year for the third ambulance for 1 year. But we leave that clause out of there, so we don't have this no more. We can negotiate that too, so. Take that out of there, so we don't face this no more.
But how much we lack of having enough money to get this $147,000?
We don't have that money.
You don't have any of that.
Don't have any of it.
We just have what the original thing was.
so this is a council decision.
Well, we got to negotiate with him, then go to the council, or what fee we get to go to the council for the money then. Sit down and negotiate with him in a meeting, is what he'll take. But we can do that and negotiate that, but like I'm saying, on the new, extend the new contract with the third ambulance for 1 year, we can negotiate that contract and leave, we can negotiate the contract extension if you want to, but leave that clause out of there. But still, it's gonna be one ambulance third ambulance for 1 year trial, see how it happens. And we need to look at that in June, ahead of time to see what's even working out.
So now go back to your we was talking about this agreement, would you say that 147 is good for the whole year or not good for the whole year? I'm not forcing, I just wanna know where you stand, where we stand, so we know for sure.
If you fund it 100%, I do not foresee me having to come back, even if the run volume still decreases even worse, we would not have to come back for additional funding.
So you're saying-
I don't believe.
So
I
we
mean,
don't know, okay.
I'm gonna say, give me a second,
Well, I think what I'm saying, we can sit down and negotiate with him at a meeting, and he might come down to 160, we don't know, maybe go to the council. That's fun, but on the newer contract, we can leave that clause out of it.
Regardless, if we don't have the money, it's going back to the.
gotta go to the council.
Go back to council anyway, so all we may do here is make a recommendation. If the council does or doesn't, then.
But we have a right to negotiate and try and get that price down too. Is that correct, John? Is that, did I get it right?
Yeah, you can, he's reopened negotiations and named a sum that he's requesting, and you guys can say yes or no, or
throw an
ask for
option out there if we
something
get the
else.
funding.
But we are liable for this,
Liable.
for the 147.
If there's no money there, we can't be
No,
liable.
he's just allowed to reopen negotiations.
Yeah.
You're not required to pay him that, but he could also say, I don't want to perform under the contract anymore because I've lost too much money.
And when we went through this, when we went from TransCare to Indiana, or whatever Paulie's was, big question about ambulance services. The state assured me they will not let us be without an ambulance service. They will find someone to fill in until we decide what we're gonna do. The state would not let us go without an ambulance service.
But regardless, if we, okay, this 147,000, it's gotta go to the council.
So we've got an option to sit down and negotiate and see if we can get that down lower.
We're just making recommendations. But we don't we're not the funding part of this.
But I do think, in all due diligence, we need to negotiate, and see if we can't get down a little bit before we go to council with it. But they're gonna come back, why can't we negotiate with the guy? Now, I'm not saying they're gonna say that, I'm just assuming, I mean, I would be that way, I mean,
Well, I would say they're going to,
that'd be only
after
natural.
everything we've done this year.
That's only natural, I mean, to try
I
to
think
do the
they're gonna ask
best
you
deal.
questions, and they're right to ask you those questions.
I think we need to negotiate, and then go to council, that's what we negotiated down to. Just in saying, council, we need $174,000.
We'll set a time up to negotiate, instead of just keep talking and
All
talking.
right,
to go-
we can do it, let's see, 13th, we got, a meeting, right? And we're gonna do it the 27th then, meeting, 27th meeting? So it's gonna be a public meeting, correct, John?
I'm not seeing a way to do it under the executive statute, so I think you have to do it in a public meeting.
So we don't have to put a whole lot on the agenda on the 27th, we got quite a bit on the 13th right now, don't we, Amy?
Yeah, I mean,
We're
all of
pretty
the stuff
close.
will be back on.
We're pretty close on meetings there, right, on things going down?
But we could hold a special meeting
Okay,
after, you'd have your regular meeting, do all your business, and then we'd have a special meeting just for that.
on the 13th?
13th, it would be later, you've got your regular meeting,
Mhm.
executive session, safety committee, and solid waste.
Well, then we better do it, can we have a special meeting on the 14th? In the morning? Or if you're doing the evening? 14th. What are you working, Tim, on the 14th, you know?
I'll have to look at it. Just make it, I'll see if I can make it.
You gonna do it evening, or you gonna do it daytime, Harry?
However may.
I'm open for you, wanna do it
Okay.
evening? Hmm?
I'm okay, whatever you do, I'll just have to make arrangements anyway, probably.
In the morning,
Yeah.
14th?
See what John's
John, what's your
schedule is.
schedule?
I'm looking right now. I can be here.
In the morning? Actually, you can be around in the morning where you're, that meeting, can you make that the 14th? The 14th? To 147, correct? Is that correct, guys, 147? What's that for you? Or 147, 174, which is?
147.
147, okay. All right. Okay.
We're gonna start at 8:15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
14th. let's put everything on the agenda, we use that, we do that already?
Yes, that would be on the agenda.
Okay. Then we're gonna sign the new contract for the 1 ambulance and the 3rd ambulance, correct?
Yes.
For 1 year. We can do that tonight, correct?
Yes.
You got it there?
Yep. I'll wait till after the meeting.
Okay, all right.
Need a motion?
Did you say that's a 1 year or 3 year contract? I'm sorry.
This has got 3 years because that's.
That's 3 years.
It's got 3, but it's subject to funding, so.
Funding, but 1 year for the 3rd ambulance.
You guys have a question.
Yes, Randy?
If we're down 366 calls, do we really need the 3rd ambulance right now? I'm just asking, I don't know.
Brought it back to budget time, and you guys, they voted to fund it for 1 year, try it for 1 year.
Would you like me to answer that?
No, I asked them.
That's, you know, you guys voted to fund it for 1 year, so, okay. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. Motion to,
For your, contract for 2021. You need a
make
motion
a
on it.
okay, make a motion on 21 contract to sign it with the option of the 3rd ambulance for 1 year.
Yep.
And we'll look at it in June. Got that in the minutes, or we'll look at that in June?
Yep, I will, yeah.
Motion to, second that?
Give me a motion.
Any more, Gary?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
PTA.
PTA license agreement, what's that? Les. You've been on TV. That's good, that's good promotion.
I've got, thank you. It was a good day. I had a good day of work. I'm asking you tonight to sign the licensing agreement with the DNR, the Indiana DNR, which will allow us to use the levee on the Hillsdale Trail grade. I'd be happy to explain to you everything about it. If you want me to do that, I'll start right now.
Put that map up, Amy.
Beg pardon?
I have Amy put the map up so you can show up
Oh.
to what it is.
That's attachment something.
There it is.
There you go. Okay, that levee is adjacent to the gap. The gap is where they took the trestle out. There's some water that flows through there in the flood. The levee is about 9 feet in elevation above the bottom of the gap. The levee is also about 8 feet below the rail grade. We wanted to use the levee from the very start of this project, but we were informed from several people that the DNR would not allow us to use that levee. So we got to pushing some buttons and beating the bushes a little bit, and we found out that in fact we could use the levee. So we've negotiated with the DNR, and their attorneys drew up this licensing agreement that you have in front of you. This licensing agreement, we have been assured by the engineering company, the firm that we're using, HWC, that there are no permitting issues with this. And this will eliminate a lot of expense. It will give us a better product in the end. And so I'm asking you to sign this licensing agreement with DNR. It's a 25-year agreement, renewable for by the year after that.
What's your take on that, John?
I reviewed the documents, they're legal, it's just up to you guys to decide if that's a good idea or not.
There's a lot of hard work into this, and
Yeah.
it's something, you know, we're gonna have something here that we've never had before in this county, is that
Well,
correct?
you all, this is your project. I mean, you all signed the grant agreement. We're just facilitating everything for you. And we're doing all the work. It's not costing you anything.
I make motions to accept it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Now I got a question. Me and Les had a meeting the other day. John, is it legal for the county to use county equipment on the easement, the road that the farmers, to give the trail easements to, down by the railroad track? If they get the gravel okayed from where they're gonna purchase it at or whatever, and we haul it with this dump trucks, but it's not on county property, but it's an easement to the remaining trail.
And when are you gonna do this?
It's providing an access road for the construction of the trail. And again, this is their project.
When is that gonna happen?
Well, we could do that this fall when it's dry.
My thought would be it's been brought up and discussed in a public meeting, vote if you want to approve of that or not, and that way if there is somebody out there that would object to it, they've got the ability to come to the next meeting and tell you why they would object to that.
In other words, if you agree to it now.
I think so, 'cause it sounds like there would be a very minimal cost to the taxpayer, right, in terms of.
Well, the use of the truck.
A small amount of fuel and wear and tear, and we're doing something that's available for all the citizens. And then if there is somebody out there that has a strong objection, they would have time to come to a meeting and say, no, I don't want to see this happen.
We can vote on it now, then in second, and then.
And then if somebody wants to come and raise an issue why they don't think you should do it, you could reconsider it.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and do it whenever he gets the gravel and stuff purchased, and we'll haul it.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, appreciate that. I do have 2 copies of this. I don't know how you do this, Amy. I'm guessing you'll want a signed copy?
Yes.
So if they sign 2 copies and then send them over, I'll give you the address for Mr. Hasselquist over at the DNR.
Stephanie will take care of it.
I'll send that in to you all. I'll get you that address. Thank you.
Okay, salary study.
Ashley, you wanna talk on that?
You should have received an email with the letter of engagement and the letter for services. We as a council have asked commissioners to sign a letter of engagement with a professional consulting company called Wagner, Irwin and Shield to conduct a salary study. It will be comprised for every county employee. I've spoken with Addie Rooker. She's in her 20th year working there. She says they've worked with over 80 counties in the state doing consulting services, and this is one of their most common studies that they do for counties. The salary study will look at each job within the county, and it will compare them internally and externally to the same job. We have multiple people maybe doing the same thing, and the county is being paid differently. So this will address those issues. It will also create job descriptions for each position in the county. And then those positions will be evaluated, like I said, internally and externally to where they're comparable salaries for each other, people doing the same thing within the county. And then also those people doing the same thing as people who are out of the county to get a comparable job salary for that person in that position. We are trying to do this to ensure the pay equity is correct for not only the workers of the county, but for the taxpayers as well. And so this came up after we've had numerous discussions every year on salary increases. We've come to a spot where I think we are at that we need to seriously look at doing this. It should take 7 to 9 months to complete the project. However, they have assured us that the elected officials' positions will be determined by the end of the year. That is because the salary ordinance cannot be changed for elected officials once the start of the new year. So we have to have those set in place by December 31st. Everyone else, we can adjust that with a new salary ordinance whenever the study is completed and adjust their pay. If you guys have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Like I said, you should have gotten a copy of all the terms.
Speaking for the commissioners, I think we didn't want a salary increase, and we just, we should be able to do later, but the commissioners wasn't even interested in it.
Right, it was everybody but the council and the commissioners.
Right.
Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Need a motion.
Motion to allow.
We'll make it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay. The print study, Gordon Fletch Company. I'm looking for Chevy Chase, Fletch.
So yeah, my name's Andrew Gower. I'm with Gordon Flesh Company. We were formerly called Indiana Business Equipment. Some of you may have heard of us there. We have some machines within the county government. We were Indiana Business Equipment since 1987, changed earlier this year. New ownership, same employees, same service, and we're actually the only copier dealer located in the Wabash Valley. So big advantage from a service standpoint. Was up here today, talked to Penny a couple weeks ago. There's her lease was up on her copier, and had mentioned that you may want to get in front of the commissioners that possibly looking at consolidating some printers, copiers, and just kind of being in the bid process for anything copier printer related in the future. Just a little bit more information on us. We're a Canon, Ricoh, and Lexmark full service provider for all three. Kind of a big advantage there is if Canon has something that Ricoh doesn't, or Ricoh has something, we can kind of switch back for what best fits the customer's need. Just wanted to introduce myself first of all, and then I have a kind of a print study that I'd like to go to each of the departments and say, what do you have now? Maybe what would you be looking for, and just to kind of be involved again in that bid process and kind of have your guys' approval for that. You guys have any thoughts, questions, or anything I can answer today?
Are we in our contract anybody right now on that?
We're all in all different contracts, and I think that it's the same thing that Toshiba's doing, and we've got another company wanting to come in as well, is to do the whole county as a whole.
Everybody be the same?
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to get kind of your thoughts on that. We have everything in Vigo County government, but then, for example, we have 3 or 4 machines in Vermilion County government, Putnam County, Park County. Some counties do it different, that each department makes their own decision. Again, like Vigo County, pretty much.
In other words, we could let that out for bid. Is that correct, John? In the future, we could let that out for bid maybe next year. What equipment, we buy equipment from one company?
I don't know that you would bid it, but yeah, we might look at different ways to get a price on it.
And maybe, I have no problem.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Like, can we not submit our stuff, because we've already had somebody come around and get all this information. I don't want to do this for 5 different people.
Correct.
Can we not have a central folder that we can say, here, bid our stuff? So that way we're not dealing with 5 different people doing the same
Right.
thing over and over.
Is that all, can you have that in your office, maybe they can hand it out to them, what they got?
Yeah, everything can be turned in to me. Like I said, I've got another company inquiring.
Okay. Why don't we do that then, and?
Yeah, I certainly don't want to be a hassle at all.
Right.
I'm a copier guy. I go into places and some people say, get out, some people say, we need something today. We get it all, so.
Right.
I mean, not that I don't think that we should have 5 people coming in, but I don't want to be going over right now with 5 different people.
Yeah. The central location, get the information to the auditor's office, they'll hand it out to these people that come in,
Put it
and
in a folder, whatever information.
we can
all
look over
of
what
one
they've got
note.
and decide what we want to do.
Amy, I don't know if this is something that you'd want to talk, since I put this together, it's just kind of department, contact, current unit, volume, stapling, any type of features. And if you wanted to, keep that, and, you could obviously, I could send this to you, or you could take off Gordon Flesh Company and make a general, send something like that to everyone. If they want to fill it out, and send it back to you, and then you would be able to send that to all vendors and say, hey, this is what we have, it's lease,
Give us a
purchase.
price, yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
Something, send
Work
that
for you,
to
Amy?
me.
Yep.
Okay.
Amy1, Amy2, work for you?
As long as I'm not doing it 5 times in 2 months, I don't care.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, window tinting. Bruce, you want to talk about that?
No, somehow Terry talked to me about that downstairs, and I was kind of baffled by it. I'm not sure. Was that something brought up at a security meeting, Mike, or? Yeah, I'm not real sure how my name got attached to that. The only thing I can think of is if you go down in the lobby during either the morning or the afternoon, the glare through those sets of doors is like super bright. I'm all tangled up here. Is super bright, and it's hard, I think, for the security people to see, you know, who is coming in. But Terry brought some pieces of tinting in. I'm not looking to get my windows tinted. I mean, if the courthouse tints windows, then so be it. But I've got blinds. I don't need window tint.
And what has come up as they talk about, maybe what you said, maybe it kind of got
Yeah,
misunderstood.
it could have, and it may be
Mm-hmm.
that when you talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, they're like, no, you shouldn't tint those entry doors. I don't know. There's a lot of glare through there.
Anyway, Mr. Andrews there in Hugo's had their done, and they contacted this guy, and I met with him on Sunday down here.
And
He
Terry
made
was
a-
real nice about it and all, but I don't need my windows tinted. All right, thanks.
So how's the deputies feel about having?
Well, now that you mentioned I don't think it'll come up in any security meeting, but especially the afternoon sun on the west doors, the camera that points towards that area is useless while the sun is going down, because there's that much glare coming in. Now, I'm not sure about the east side is as bad, but the west side is horrible. Whether you're looking at it or the camera, if we had to replay video of an incident, late in the afternoon, you're not gonna see anything there because it's all sun coming in, so.
Do you wanna maybe have that gentleman come and talk to us about
I've seen the tinting at Angie's. I think whoever did that did a fantastic
This
job.
gentleman here, I think,
Inside looking out is perfect.
Okay.
But there's no view restriction. From the outside in, it's mirrored. You're not gonna see from the outside inside the courthouse. But if that would help cut down on the west doors anyway, I would certainly be for it.
Get a hold of them and get another quote just for the doors.
Yeah, all doors or just the one door?
It's up to you guys.
Talking about just doing the west door, that's it?
Just the west door, Sheriff?
Or the west glass?
Well, it's gonna make a difference on the outside appearance of the building, so you may end up doing all of it. It may save you some of the heat loss coming in from the blue, so
on the
maybe
doors?
just do all the doors, so that it looks the same all the way around on the outside.
Make it where he can come back and talk to us, answer your questions, as soon as he gets a bid.
But it don't affect you seeing out even with that shade tint on there? You'll see out 100%?
Restaurant, and take a look, we ate there Sunday morning after the incident, and that's the first time I've been in there to see that. There was no restriction from the inside looking out. But if you look from the outside, go by, it's exactly what it looks like. But whoever did it did a really nice, clean job of it.
And I think that's what the talk was, and I think we kicked it around in the security meeting, but as far as individual window tinting,
Okay.
my personal opinion is it's unnecessary. I mean,
Okay.
doors, you know, whatever's better for security, but.
If you come in and, go up to probation, have him play back any day's video from that the camera that looks to the west, and you'll see what I mean. Statler's pretty good at replaying that video back.
All right.
Take a look for yourself. It's completely blind use.
We'll have him come back, get in the door, and we'll have him make a point where he comes, if any questions, you can ask him, he can explain to us.
I have that folder back too.
Okay, one other last thing here, or a couple things here. One is, we're talking about the foremans using their personal cell phones for business for the county. We were talking about refunding it and everything, and Amy gave us a suggestion, it might be just as cheap as we got 3 cell phones for each garage, one for each garage for each foreman. If that foreman left, that phone be handed down to the next guy. We'll not be paying their phone bill. We'd have 3 phones that we paid for that are our county phones. Is that something we wanna look into?
That'd be used just for county use only, not
personal.
just personal
Yeah.
use.
Is that something we wanna look into?
I think so.
Well, I'd say, yeah.
Okay.
Motion?
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we look into 3 cell phones for the
Is second for
Valley
that?
boys.
A second.
All in favor, say aye. One last thing. I was in the red and white the other night, I got asked by 2 people about recycling. Where we're coming at, I said, if we're having a meeting on that, we'll have a meeting up north. The guy likes to recycle, takes his stuff someplace, he gets yelled at. And then, the next day, a gentleman approached me, they're interested in buying some property up along 74, and he's gonna put in a repair shop for their trucks and work on trucks, and maybe repair some trucks, put up for sale. And they thought, why don't we go full cycle? They want to recycle like Mervis does, which would be scrap iron. And that's something else we might want to address in a recycling thing in the future. I mean, we know we'd have their blessing on that. And I checked with Penny, and that is already zoned for repair, but for recycling, I don't know about. But it'd be on that, but it's something that I've been talking to two people, one by a trucking company, the other by two individuals that are interested in recycling what we're doing. I'd like to see it grow.
Did you find out if we could get the community center up there
Give
for
me a date and I'll see
recycling?
if it's available.
We can.
Give me a date and I'll see if it's available.
Okay.
If not, we can be on the
We'll have another meeting north, we'll get input from the north and then come back
Give
and.
me a date, maybe I'll check with her and see, we'll do it on Saturday maybe or something, or let me know, I'll see what I can find out for you.
Okay.
If not, we'll do it at the firehouse. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I got one right here. It's, we're requesting an additional out of the, Highway Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of a grade all, for the council. Just want to put it on the record that we're producing.
Okay. Tim, you got something?
Got the burn ban.
Yes, I got it right here. This was put out, and Park County adopted it. I believe it comes from the state here. So we went ahead and we adopted this on the 22nd day of September. The following activities are prohibited in Horn County: campfires and other recreational fires unless enclosed in a fire ring, dimensions 23 inches by 10 inches or higher, attended by an adult. Open burn of any kind using conventional fuel such as wood or other combustible matters, with the exception of grill fuel by charcoal, briquettes, or propane. The burning of timbers and vegetation, including results from building construction activities, or burning will be allowed in burn barrels with a 1/4-inch mesh top from dawn till dusk only. So them things are allowed, except for you can't burn vegetation and timber at this time, if I read that correct. And let's see here. We're asking the employees or the public to comply with necessary emergency measures to curb public officials and disaster forces operation this plan, and then all communication will be directed to the Rankin County Dispatch Center. You've seen this, haven't you, Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay.
Waiting to repost it.
Yes. And it'll be in effect October 27th due to dry condition. Now, we had some rain the other day, but I really don't think it really done much good yet, so. Is that it?
Yeah. We try to play that Rogers Award.
Yes, we had
It's a little bit of work, but we'll try it.
we had the county coroner got county of the corner of the year, and he was presented an award today, and we couldn't award knew about it, we'd all could have been here, but anyway, he got an award, and he was for his hard work.
Well, they already did it because it was an emergency, so they're bringing it up after the fact.
Scenario with COVID and everything, but normally we would give these awards in person. We have a lot of affiliate offices that are involved with the Association of Indiana Counties, coroners being one of those. And they have chosen Roger as this year's most outstanding coroner, and they have a plaque that they put together, which we are going to present to you, recognizing you for your many years of service. Not just as a coroner, but, his record, as you know, is extensive in other areas of local government, whether it's the town or the school, and in this case, the county. So we're very proud of the work Roger has done. And Roger, congratulations on your honor. And let's do David.
I think we ought to.
Yeah, I don't know about the echo, it must be because of the YouTube playing it back.
I think maybe we ought to draw something up on our letterhead and have it signed by the commissioners in the council, to congratulating Mr. Lewis on that, and get that to him. Would you take care of that, Amy? Dr. you, Ashley? Okay. Anything else come before the meeting tonight? Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement and the prosecutor and everything for the incident that happened over the weekend. I think they did a fine job of how they handled things. I'm glad that none of our people were hurt. Sheriff, you've done a good job. Prosecutor and your team did a good job.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.